To dive deeper into what lies ahead for Democrats after passing that infrastructure bill, I'm joined by Nevada's Democratic Congressman Steven Horsford. He helped get that bill over the finish line, and he's also the first vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. So, Congressman, I mean, first of all, politically speaking, what does this bill mean once it gets signed into law? Is this the kind of thing that would be front and center of your reelection pitch?
Absolutely, Garrett. Thank you for having me on. And this is a huge win for the American people. And I'm proud to have been in the room with the leadership, along with the Congressional Black Caucus, our chairwoman, Joyce Beatty, to be able to break the logjam and to get both the bipartisan infrastructure bill as well as the procedural vote on Build Back Better so that we can move both of these historic bills forward on behalf of the American people.
It really was interesting. This bill would absolutely not have passed without the Congressional Black Caucus, who was instrumental in breaking that logjam. I was there late covering on Friday night. And it also wouldn't have become law without a handful of Republicans who helped make up for a group of Democrats who ultimately decided not to support it. I know you kind of were straddling the divides within the Democratic Party to try to make this happen. But talk about the political dynamics within the House that made this possible come Friday night. Uh-oh. Oh, well, we got you back there, Congressman. I think I see you moving. Let me try that question again there. I hope you heard me. But can you speak a little bit to the political dynamics there, where it was both the CBC and then a handful of Republicans who really actually put this thing over the top?
Well, absolutely. The key provisions that are in the bill are what put it over the top. The bipartisan infrastructure bill provides historic investments for clean energy, clean water, historic in broadband, and making sure that we are meeting the needs of addressing our crumbling infrastructure in roads and bridges and highways throughout this country. It's going to create millions of good-paying union jobs. It's going to address some of the climate crisis in my state, in Nevada. We've experienced huge amount of wildfires and a drought that is one of the worst ever on record. And with the investment from the bipartisan infrastructure bill, we're going to see more than $4 billion of funding that's going to come into Nevada. And that's money that my constituents are going to directly benefit from.
But most of the climate provisions in the president's agenda are in the other bill, the Build Back Better bill. How concerned are you, or what's your feeling about the political prognosis there? I mean, my understanding is you're essentially waiting on a CBO score and hoping that with the president's word backing up those moderates, that this thing can get at least through the House.
Well, and that's another important element. Obviously, President Biden and Vice President Harris have worked tirelessly to get an agreement with our senators. And in the House, we now have an agreement between the moderates and the progressives. Why? Because the Build Back Better bill is going to cut taxes for the majority of American families with children. It's going to create millions of good-paying union jobs. It's going to address our care economy by providing funding for elder care and home care. And it's going to reduce cost on everything from housing to child care to health care. And I am so confident, and I'm excited, quite frankly, that Democrats, when we're in the majority, this is what we do. We deliver for the American people. Yes, there's more work to be done, but the fact that both of these bills are now moving forward, one will be signed by the president and will go into effect while we work to continue to move the other one to the final approval here in the next few weeks.
I want to quickly ask you about the broader political climate here. The former Montana Governor Steve Bullock told the New York Times after Tuesday's election, he said, look, some of those rural counties in Virginia should be a wake-up call. Folks don't feel like we're offering them anything or hearing or listening to them. I don't have to tell you, Nevada has a lot of rural counties. Do you feel like there's a messaging disconnect in Democratic politics with how to talk to rural voters? You don't have to win every one of them, but you can't get blown out.
Well, you're right. I actually represent 52,000 square miles in Nevada. So in addition to Las Vegas and North Las Vegas, I represent 6 rural counties throughout Nevada. And this is why these bills are so important, because it's going to provide historic funding for broadband. Most of that broadband is going to benefit our rural constituents. My constituents in rural Nevada talk to me about the expenses related to housing, and that is something the Build Back Better bill is going to help do, as well as the elder care and lowering prescription drug costs for seniors and for others that are in the healthcare's consumers who are depending on Congress to act to lower prescription drug costs, particularly for Medicare beneficiaries. This is what's at stake, and these bills help all of America. And this is something that President Biden has been very focused on, is addressing equity in rural America and urban America, not leaving any community behind or any person behind. And that's why these 2 bills are historic, and Democrats are delivering for the American people.